Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to my stream and another chapter working on that guy right there, chapter 6. That is our 1998 Pontiac Firebird. As you can see, I'm kind of looking at stuff here. Let's run the intro. We'll get into it, okay? Okay, so we're back and we're going to continue, and as you can tell, I'm doing a little bit of just checking out some things on the body on how things are going to fit, particularly on the front clip here. Did I do anything off camera? A little bit. Off camera I did do a little bit. Obviously I took the front and rear bumpers off of the sprue. I did that, and I did put a little bit of clear coat on our gauges, just to make them uniform. Let me change the camera so you can see here. So here we have our gauges, and it's all looking like there's maybe some kind of glass on there because I painted over them with a nice glossy clear coat. And you can see in the center of the stereo there, we've got our little glass screen that you would see the digital display of what station you're on or whatever. And I painted little knobs there, got little white tips on them. One over the center one, of course, is our temperature, so you can see the little bit red, just a little hint of it there. And that's about it for that, right? That's our dashboard. For the interior, it may look like I've gone and done some stuff, but I haven't really. All I really did was I painted our seatbelt buckles, the little red button there that it's supposed to have. So they've all got our little red buttons for releasing the seatbelts. Same on the back seats, got them there. And I did some flat black on our shifter, our leather shifter there, and I did a little red dot in the door there for the door lock, and of course obviously on the other side too. And I painted our gas pedal flat black, or it's semi-gloss black, rubber black kind of thing. Yeah, so that's what I did off camera. Okay, so now that I've shown you that, I'm going to put our seats back in, and I'm not gluing them in yet because we've got a lot of work to figure out how I'm going to do our shoulder belts when I get ready to do that, okay? But I'm not ready to do that today. Today what I wanted to do, I wanted to start off with looking at how our front and rear bumpers fit on the body, and it looks like I'm going to have to do that special little grinding on the front of them here, otherwise it's going to look a little strange. It shouldn't look like in scale, it would be maybe 2 inches thick. It shouldn't look like that. And we've got a nub that's kind of right on the edge on our front here that I want to clean up. Show you. I'll change the camera so you can see. Right here on the edge, just that little bit of a nub right there, and I want it nice and clean. So I'm going to use sandpaper to clean it off so it's nice and smooth. That'll look better. I think I might actually get to painting the whole body white tonight. That might be what we do. If I get our front and rear bumper cleaned up enough, I'll paint them white. Okay, that's it for the front. I need to get in there on this edge with my little Dremel with this thing. Remember last time we used that guy there? Let me grab my Dremel. I want to do the same treatment on the inside of this. So again, I'm not going straight, I'm on an angle like something like this, okay? Roughly like that. And I'm going to just take the inside edge and I'm going to preserve the outside edge. So I'm going to go kind of light, and as I get down here to the very lip, that's okay. They're supposed to be thicker. Just crank this up a little bit. Okay, so with that done, get rid of my little excess there. So you can see the how much I shaved there, and it's just on an angle now, right? So it's not a straight flat edge. And I was really careful. I only touched just a little hair there. Same on this side, just touched a little bit, but looking on the outside, it doesn't look like it did anything. But I basically made this edge kind of sharp almost, right? That's an almost sharp edge now. So now when I put this on, line this up here. This is quite the unique little fit, because it's got to go, it's got to tuck in there. So now when I look at it here and look at that front edge here, it doesn't look like suddenly we've got a huge wide, you know, some kind of fat fiberglass front end. It looks a little bit more natural of a sweep, and yes, that's just going to look a little bit more natural. So now let's look at our rear bumper as I send my parts flying everywhere. I'm not sure the significance of this great big long pin. I don't know if I'm going to need that. One thing I did find kind of disappointing about this Firebird is we've got these two great big cutouts for exhaust tips, and yet the car's only got one tip sticking out the back. Like, that is a huge missed opportunity by Pontiac to do dual exhaust out the back. Why didn't they do that? I almost feel like just making the exhaust custom. Let's find, where is my exhaust? My exhaust is back here. I almost feel like just, I don't know, adding a pipe to come off the muffler here and come out over this way to stick out, because this is going to go something like that, right? It's going to look something like that. So why not have two pipes sticking out the back? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, have a second pipe there. For Pete's sake. I mean, come on. I don't know who Pete is and why you'd do it for his sake, but... Okay, so obviously this big pin is going to go through that hole there. This almost feels like it's going to clip on. And it kind of does. Except it doesn't. It does, but it doesn't. And our peg doesn't really want to go in the hole, which means the hole is too small. So we're going to open it up. I'll just use my knife. Okay, there we go. So what it does is this actually covers our tail lights, and that's why it's kind of sticking out like that. So it fits on there nice. Like, the fitment is great. No complaint there. But the width of this needs to be cleaned up. It needs to kind of match what we've done here a little bit better. Alright, so we'll do the same treatment and just put it on an angle. And that ought to do that. And my nice sharp edge that I did have on this side seems to have been melted away. I'm hoping I didn't screw up this corner here. I'm hoping. So it just seems to have, I think from the heat, it just melted away. And now I don't have a nice sharp. You see this? Okay, this corner here is no longer a point. Flip this over to this side, and we've got a nice a nice point there. So now I got to test this. I just might be getting out the putty to fix this. Yeah. So we've got a nice point on this one, and that matches really nice there. Okay. See, whoops. Okay, right there. You got a nice point where they connect. Flip this over, and not so much. Got a gap there. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. Can I fill it in? Probably, yeah. Can I fill it in and then paint it? No. Can I fill it in and then install the bumper? No. Not really. Not really. So, as I sit here and think about my options, what are my options? Don't really have any. Depending on how the chassis goes in here, if the chassis can go in like this and tuck under, then I don't really have a problem. I could just glue the rear bumper on and have this as one piece. The trick is going to be, okay, so let's just pretend, let's do a mock-up here. We've got our interior in, let's slide this down in here. Interior is in on its pegs, okay, just like that. Now we got to get this in here, and let's pretend the bumper's on here. So can we slide this under? Let's pretend again the bumper's on there. I got to hold it in place. I could do that. Do this. Drop that down in there. And yes, we are in, and the bumper didn't move. So that is great. That's good. I could glue the bumper on, and then when I glue it on, I could put some filler in there. Yeah, it seems as long as I flex the body in front of the wheels, I can tuck that in under there no problem. So that shouldn't really be an issue, in theory. I just need to be able to flex the body out, which really isn't a problem. So, I think I can glue this on. No, I can't, because I gotta put the taillights in and then the bumper. They keep screwing me over with this kit. I want to assemble it in a certain way, and they keep telling me that I can't. You keep making me do it by the book, and that's not fair, guys. I don't want to do it by the book. You see, the tail light lens, I'll take it off the sprue here. Again, they've done this really long, wide thing. I don't know if there's, I don't think I need anything off that, but just in case. Let's get rid of these balls here. Okay, so our tail light is supposed to go on. This doesn't even fit in there. Fit now. There we go. Okay, so our tail light goes in like this. Kind of like that. And then it goes on like this. And then we have our tail lights, right? So that's how it's got to go. But if I've got the bumper glued on, guess what I'm not doing? The only option I'd have then is I got to put the tail lights on here, mask them off when I paint. I don't really want to do that. The whole reason why they have it separate is so that you can do it separate. So another option I might have is just forget it, because it's really a non-issue. Or another thing I can do, I can put a little blob of putty on there and I can sculpt it once it's cured. That is another option. So let's try that method. I'm going to put our tail lights aside here. I'm going to use my Tamiya gray putty. I don't use this stuff very often because it does dry very quickly. It's not very cooperative, let's put it that way. It dries very quickly as soon as it gets some air on it. It's not that sculptable. But I might be able to form it to the shape I need. Just like that. As it dries. That already does look better. So I need to let this cure. You see the little tiny dab of it on the tip there? Okay, that's what all I've done. And so I'm just going to leave that and let that dry. I'm going to leave that probably overnight kind of thing, because that needs work, which means I'm not painting the body today. So much for that plan. That plan is not going to work. So this is going to sit over here. I'm going to put it way over here out of the way. Way over there, out of the way. Which means I can work on, let's go back to like step 1, step 2 kind of thing. Where we were working on the chassis and stuff like that. Remember step 1, we did our radiator and then we built our engine, right? Remember that way back a long time ago? I do have my radiator assembly here. That is now painted the correct colors it's supposed to be, black. And they want that going into the chassis here. And that's going to go in from the bottom and get lined up here. You know, it's funny, now that I've got it all painted, it doesn't want to go where it's supposed to. There we go. That's how it sits, just like this. So we're going to glue that in now. And we can finally say we got the radiator installed. And we can line up our little tabs here on the top side. Glue those in. And there we finally have the radiator installed. Yay. Finally. Okay. That's it. Now, the engine, we already have the engine done. The engine's assembled. And I think I've got the exhaust manifolds rusted up good enough. Nice and orangey color, just like they would be in real life. Because, you know, I don't even know if car manufacturers, I don't even know if they paint them. Because it seems like OEM exhaust manifolds, they start to rust like 5 minutes into installing them. They start rusting. I don't know what it is, but just the cast iron and the heat that they constantly go extreme heat and then cool off, extreme and cool off, it just makes them dark orange, rusty kind of color, and that's the color they spend their life, and it's just the way they are. These ones may be a little bit bright orange. I could probably redo the gray on them, but I don't, because of what's actually going to be visible under the hood. It's basically going to sit like this under there. Where is it? Like this. You're not going to see them very much anyway. They're not really going to be visible, so I think they're good just the way they are. So we can install the engine. Again, we got our the little pin in the back of the end of the transmission lines up, and then where the front engine mounts go, they just kind of tuck right in here and in here. So we can line them up from underneath fairly easily here, and just do that. And there's our engine installed. But before I do this, I actually want to paint a little bit. We got to do some realistic painting. The anti-sway bar would not be white. The engine mounts would not be white. They would all be black. So I need to paint those first, otherwise it's going to be impossible to do so later. So I'm going to grab some of my Mr. Hobby black here. This is not Mr. Hobby's black, this is Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, which I really like to do because when you paint it with a brush, it's kind of like a semi-gloss black. But when you spray paint it, it's really a flat black. It's funny how it does that. So I'm going to brush paint this on here, and it's going to come out like a sort of a semi-gloss black, which is kind of what it would look like from the factory. From the factory it would be powder coated black, and the powder coating would be kind of a semi-gloss black. And so that's perfect for our situation here. Okay, now let's paint our anti-sway bar here. There we go. And that's about it. So now we want to do the engine mounts. You know, from the factory, this thing would have been basically the whole undercarriage would have had a treatment of paint on it. But there'd be a lot of things like the engine mounts that were installed separately and therefore would not have received the white treatment. So they would be black, universal black, same that would be on all models regardless of color. And I mean, realistically, how many people go for the undercoating treatment that they offer at the dealership when they buy a brand new car? Probably a lot of people do, right? And so it's very possible you buy yourself a brand new 1998 Firebird from the dealer, and you get it white, and you get the undercoating put on it, and then you happen to put it up on a hoist, and the whole underside would be black, because that's what color the undercoating was, right? It's very common. Car looks pristine and new under there until you go and put the undercoating, and then you get that rubberized undercoating under everything underneath your car, and the whole thing is now a black color, regardless of what the color the car was. What I'm going for on this is it was never undercoated. The guy lived in California and didn't need it, right? So he never had it done. That is my story. All right. Now that we have our parts painted, we can install the engine and not have to worry about the fact that our parts need paint, especially where the sway bar crosses over underneath the engine there. So we're going to put a little glue on our engine mounts and on our tranny mount. Liberal amounts of glue on the engine mounts, always. I always do. I have to, because I tend to move my engine around unintentionally, like I just did. All right, so my engine should have this pulley, not really a pulley, this is kind of our throttle body. That should be right, it's right dead center, excuse me, because when I put the body on, our throttle body in the very center there lines up with our air intake right there in the middle like this. So that should line up. If I've got my engine lined up, then it should be, and that should work. But that's it. So our engine is finally, the car's got an engine, guys. Finally. Okay, I'm going to set this down like this. Okay, and let's look for step number 3. Step number 3 is our suspension assembly in the rear, which we're not ready yet. How about step number 2? Step number 2, they want us to put the upper rad hose in already. Put the upper rad hose in? Are you kidding me? Upper rad hose goes, where does it go? Goes to the front of our intake, but I can't reach the front of the intake right there. It looks like it's just supposed to, they show it, I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Well, let's just grab the hose anyway. That's number 148. Let's find that sucker. here. Yay, 148. Found it. Let's get this guy off the sprue. Okay. So, our little hose here needs some love. So, obviously one end is a little bit longer than the other, and they want the longer end going towards the engine. And then the shorter end going into the front of the radiator, into that little hole right there. So if we just take a look at this and we just grab it and we see, how would this go on there if it was lined up in the radiator? Doesn't really hook in, it goes right there. There's kind of a little notch thing right here. Is that where they want the hose going? That's the only place it can go. Come on. Get in your hole. There. It really doesn't sit in there. Okay, I'm going to put some glue on this so that it will kind of at least sit where it's supposed to. Once I put it in, it's on the rad. It will at least kind of sit. There's really no definitive spot for it. There is in the rad, that's for sure. Oh, there is right there. Let's put some glue on it real quick. Alright. So, on the front of the motor, a little bit further down. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. And it goes right in there. Okay, see where it's going there? Right in there. The picture in the diagram makes it look like it's going up top here. But it's not. It goes down lower. So, now that I've moved it around a bunch, let's make sure it's actually glued in there on the radiator. I've got it glued to the engine already. It won't hurt to add a little more. There we go. Our upper rad hose is in. Alright, so that's A. Bottom view, lower rad hose. Oh, that's great. Lower rad hoses. Those are usually the hardest ones. Number 158. It's this guy, it's on the same sprue. Of course, this guy happens to have lots of flashing on him. I went and painted these. These guys are just painted with the flat black, the Mr. Surfacer black. Once they're installed and everything's done, I'm going to paint them with some rubber black and make them look, it makes them just stand out and look more, well, like rubber. The rubber black just kind of has that little bit of a kind of a, I don't know, a grayish, bluish tinge to it. So it's definitely got one side that's got a bend on it here, and the other side's just straight. So let's see if we can figure this out. It's really hard to tell what way they want this going in the picture. It could be going like this, but it could also be going like this. It's really, they're not doing me any favors with their picture here. It could go either way, but anyway, it's going to go into that little spot there and then the bottom hole of the rad. Let's flip this thing over and have a look. Okay, I can see the spot on the engine where it goes. It's going to go into this guy right there. And then we've got our hole in the bottom of the rad right there. It looks like there's a square hole right here, but I think that's supposed to be the petcock. So let's see how this fits. Kind of looks like it's going to fit like this. It's a little bit hard to see because now my rad is black. And of course my engine is... Let's try turning this around. Let's try taking these off for a minute. I need some pure sight here. This fits worse than it did the other way. Or does it? It's almost... It's almost there. Like it's at the hole. Oh, it just went in. It went in the hole, guys. Let's put some glue on there. Let's go over here to this side. We're in. This doesn't happen to me very often. I usually have to compromise with rad hoses and like have one installed but not the other. But this has got to be one of the first kits I've done where I got both hoses installed. My engine seems to be a little crooked right now though. I think that hose is putting a little pressure on my engine. And I want to sink this thing down. I want my engine straight. So I'm going to hold this here like this for a minute. Just keep my engine straight for a minute. I see my hose fell off. So obviously my hose was putting some pressure on the engine that was not comfortable, and then when I put the engine back where it's supposed to, well, the hose came out. But that is okay. I don't know why my engine is suddenly wanting to torque. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the body on. Because putting this on will help me line up the engine. See, that's where the engine's supposed to go. It's supposed to line up right there like that. So I want to keep it like this. And kind of just let the engine sit there where it belongs and let that dry. Just kind of let it dry like that. So because I've been moving the engine around a little bit, I want to redo my glue on the mounts. And even on the transmission here, just in case. Alright. And I want to hold this down. I'm going to use a light clip. In theory, this is a light clip. No, that's too strong. It's too strong of a clip. I'd like to use it, but I can't. It's not... I don't have any really... All my big clips are really strong, and I don't want to use a strong clip. I just want something that's going to hold this. Well, how about some tape? No! Tape is no good. Okay, so we're going to let that sit like that. What else can we do? They want me to put the exhaust in, but I'm not ready to do that. I think I want to do custom on this, guys. I want to do a custom pipe coming off the back of this car. Let's get this lined up here. Line up. Where's your hole? There's your hole. I want to do a custom pipe coming off of the back here, and you know, come out here and yeah, I want to do that. I think some sprue would be a perfect pipe. That might make a perfect exhaust pipe. Just want to make sure I've got no seam. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of our seam on there. So this looks like a round pipe. That's important. Of course, I do have that tube, that round tubing, that's this stuff here. I could use that, but when it comes to bending it, I want to use flame. I want to use fire to bend it. And if I put fire to the tube, it could very easily just flatten out and not be round anymore because of the thin wall of the tubing. Okay, that's good enough for roundness. I want that to go in here and bend around this pipe. I don't want to, like, you know, do like a Y off of here. You know what I mean? Because then that wouldn't be muffled. That wouldn't be, they would never do that. They would never just put a Y off of here and have it sticking out. They would have it come out this side of the muffler. So, let's just try this. Let's add a little bit of fire. Let's bend that. Another thing I could try using a tool I have not used before, that I bought a long time ago. I have it tucked away in here. This is for actually bending like rods and stuff, so you get a bend in it, right? Or a nice radius. So I'm going to do, I don't want to put a whole bunch of heat so that it just melts like crazy. I want to do little by little. We're getting there. It's almost exactly where we need it. Okay, so let's grab, where's my Sharpie go? This is pretty good right there, but I want this to bend right there and then right there. So we need that we need a good 90 degree in there. Yeah, something like that. And so now we've got to come back. We've got to do like this kind of thing, right? We've got to kind of mimic that, except we're a little further out. So I want to come back. I'm doing this backwards because I'm left-handed. Let's do this. There we go. So I want to come back about this far, and that will come back about there and then come back this way. So we're going to come back like that, like this, but the other way, and a little bit more. Okay. That's good. Now I need to come back. In this area. Like that. We're doing a little bit of a hook. We almost got it. I may have gone a little too far. See how I want to basically line it up with the frame there. I went too far. I think I can get it bent back. Yep, we got it, guys. So all I need to do is get this flattened out. Actually, what I should do to do this proper, let's get this clipped off straight here. That. Okay, so we got a nice flat edge to go against the muffler, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my front suspension. I'm going to put a little pin in there to make it strong so it holds in there nicely. So let's find center here. This one does not matter so much about being centered. Let's get a little pilot hole drilled here. This one doesn't matter if it's centered, I just need a pin in there. Just like I did on the front suspension. Alright. I don't know if that's the diameter I need for the pin. We're going to take a look. We're going to find out here. Let's see. Do I have any of that? Anything left of that paper clip I had before it flew away on me? Doesn't look like it, does it? Got all kinds of little bits of stuff are on my desk here from all my cutting and everything, but no paper clip piece. So I'm going to grab another paper clip. I've got a couple of them sitting here. This will do. Let's unbend this. And I'm not going to let this one fly away this time. I'm just going to clip this like that. Okay. There we go. Now let's see. Did the hole I drill, was that big enough? No. It's almost, but not quite. I just got to go next step up on my drill bits. And then that should be fine. Let's see. Before I put it away, it's like almost. It is that size, it's just super tight, but that's okay. So now, let's figure out where I want this on this piece, on our muffler. I think I want to go, if I can, right there. So, I want to drill it like right here. Right there. Let's move this out of the way for now. Okay, let's see how that lines up. Oops. I should be able to go all the way. There we go. Is that almost perfect or what? Like, holy crap, man. Now, my angle of this is not the greatest. I didn't get in there super straight. So let's just fix that. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks on the chassis. That's cool. That looks good. So what I can do now is put this away. Put that away. Now all I got to do is get my tube and match it up. So let's get my tubing. My tubing here. Let's get a piece that I already cut out of here. Alright, let's get a piece cut out of here. There we go. Now, I need to drill this tubing out just like I did with this one. But I want to get the same length here, roughly. I want to do, this is got a nice angle on it already that should match pretty close to what I got going on with this one. Yeah, pretty darn close. So I'm just going to take this off of here because it's flopping around. Been an hour already. Okay, I'm going to line this up with the length that I have here. Make sure it's straight. Don't need glue on. So we have this. I need to drill this out. So let's grab the same drill bit. There it is. That I drilled out my other one. I'm going to drill this one out so that, well, so that it's the same. It is very easy to accidentally heat this up with the drill bit and go through. It looks like I'm through. So just push this through like that. There we go. There we go. So we've got a nice drilled out tube just like we have on the other side. A whole bunch of shavings all over my everywhere. And unfortunately I have a little bit of a little hole in it that it pierced through there for some reason. But we can patch that up. Now we got to match up each side here for their length. Okay, our length needs to be matched. Get on there. So to match this up on there, where's my end? Right there. Let's see. Let's get this back on here. I think I just need to go, let's hold on to it like this. Need to go right there, but this needs to be bent back. This needs to be bent back straight. So I'm going to live dangerously here and just add heat while it's on here. wasn't enough. That feels like it was. Ouch. That's a bit better. That's a little more straight. Thank you very much. So I think it's right at that line. No, it's a little bit further. This is going to sit right there. Okay. This is going to sit right there. And I want the tip of that being right there. Okay. That's my guide. So when I hold this on to there, and do this, that's where it needs to cut. But I need to cut it this way. Okay. There we go. Well, this doesn't quite go over top of it, but it's really close. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this glued on with some CA glue. I'm going to put CA glue in there and then put it in there, shove it in there, okay? So CA is going to make it permanent in a very short amount of time. There we go. And just like in real life, the pipes are not touching. Just like they would be in real life, the pipes are not touching. I'm gonna just hit it with a little bit of accelerant. Just to make sure it stays. Almost had a CA glue disaster there. Almost. But it didn't happen. Okay, that's done. Now I can put this on here and kind of stick this where it's supposed to be with a little bit of glue. Actually, what I want to do is the edge, I want to try and help it kind of shove over the edge here a little bit. Make sure there isn't any harsh edge. Put this in its place. This in the orientation it's supposed to be. Glue on there. And stick that on there. Of course, I got to make sure they are sort of the same height, and of course the same angle would be nice. That's looking pretty good. Where's my rear bumper? There's my front bumper. Where's my rear bumper? Where'd my rear bumper go, guys? Where did I put it? Did I lose it? Did I lose my rear bumper? No, I put it way back over here. We're going to be going like this. And that is kind of how our mufflers are going to look. Our mufflers, I mean our exhaust tips, are going to look sticking out the back. We've got ourselves some dual exhaust. How about that? Yeah, how about that? That's not bad at all. I am happy with that. A little more glue just to make sure. Now I've got that little hole that needs a little patch, so we're going to take a little bit of this putty that I said earlier I don't really like very much, and I'm going to just take that, put a little tiny bit on the tip of this, and quickly put it on that pipe. Now I will sand that down later on. Let's make sure my angles are good still. All right, we need to let that dry. We need to let that cure. And that pretty much tells me that I am done for the day. Okay, that pretty much says you're done for the day. We got ourselves a custom exhaust tip. And I'm happy with the way that looks. I was not planning on doing a custom exhaust. Somebody asked me the other day what I would do if I wanted to do dual tips, and well, here I am. I did dual tips and I wasn't even planning on it. Yeah, sometimes that's just the way it goes. So I didn't paint the body like I was hoping to tonight, but that's okay. That's quite all right. We got other things done. The engine's installed, the rad's installed. Speaking of rad, I still got to do the rad hose, but I'll do that off camera. We already know where the hose goes and we know that it fits. I just need to get that engine, let that glue cure before I start really messing around with it, that's all. So I'll do that later on. But this is where I'm going to have to leave it for today, guys. Yeah, got a nice custom exhaust pipe on there. That looks good. That's going to look good when it's all painted. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this little journey, and all the support you guys do give me. I really appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. In the description box you'll see some links to my other stuff. Every time I finish one of my projects, I take a bunch of pictures of it and I load it up, put it up on my Instagram. And every now and then you might see some update photos and things like that I post on there. I try to post on that stuff a little bit by little bit. I don't always get a chance to though. But yeah. Anyway, I gotta leave it for today, guys, and I guess we will see you all in the next one.